Hey everyone, Mike Doloff, Chief Revenue Officer, Inflow Communications. Glad to be talking with you today. I've got with me Chris Mitchell. Chris, say hello, introduce yourself.
Hi, Chris Mitchell, Chief Technology Officer. I'm excited to be talking about Microsoft Teams with you today.
Yeah, really excited. We're doing quite a few topics using Microsoft Teams for your unified communications. What are your options for that? And we're going to take our first topic is going to be, what about using Microsoft Teams actually as your unified communications platform? A lot of folks think of it as their messaging, collaboration, meetings. It has obviously a phone system component to it. We're going to talk about that use case scenario. So Chris, how do you know if you're a good fit for using Teams as your PBX?
Yeah, this is probably the most common question we get from customers is, their company's using Teams for messaging and meetings. They've been using it for a long time, and they're trying to figure out, can they use, the Teams as their PBX? And usually what it comes down to is, what are your needs around PBX? Do you have basic needs like auto attendant, voicemail, inbound, outbound calling? Those are kind of like the core functions that are really built good inside of Teams. And if that's all you really need, you're probably a really good fit for Microsoft Teams as your PBX.
Great. So what about licensing? Microsoft never makes licensing easy. So what do you need for licensing if you're going to go this route?
Yeah, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky when you start having to dive into licensing. Is obviously every user is going to need an Office 365 license. They're going to need that anyway, just to access Teams for meetings and messaging purposes. So in addition to that, you're going to need an $8 phone system license for each user that enables the PBX features, voicemail, inbound, outbound calling, those kind of functionality, auto attendance, stuff like that. So that's a per user basis. And so you'll need that license if you're on Office 365, and unless you're on E5 licensing. If you're on E5, that's included, but if you're on E1 or E3, it's not included, so you'll need to add that $8 a month license on top of that.
But that's not it, is it, right? There's also a dial tone component. So what do you need to do for dial tone?
Yeah, and dial tone's another thing is, so by default, you're going to need the Office 365 license, that phone system license, and then you're going to need a calling plan from Microsoft. The typical calling plan runs $12 per user per month, so that can add up really quick. So what I recommend is bringing in a third-party carrier for your dial tone. That'll give you usually a more cost-effective option, but it also can provide you with better additional like disaster recovery options. So you can route calls to cell phones if for some reason Teams is down or something like that. So you have a little bit of flexibility when it comes to dial tone, but it is really three things. You need an Office 365 license, a phone system license, and then a calling plan or a carrier.
Perfect. Short and sweet. Chris, this is super helpful. For everyone else out there that's watching this, you can definitely join us for our Microsoft Teams webinar series. We have a link to register in the description box. But thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.